Welcome back, SimGamers. We're just checking over our stats. You can see everyone's healed. In the last episode when we talked to Lord British, he healed us all the way up. In our items, we have a fair bit of dispel powders, magical gems, magic keys, torches. Our reagents are pretty well stocked. Mandrake root and nightshade, of course, we can't buy those in stores. We have to find them. So those aren't fully stocked necessarily. We're a little bit low on rations. In fact, we have approximately half our starting value of rations. No one has really upgraded their armor or weapons. We've been leaning a little bit on the fact that this entire party is a spellcasting or spellcasting hybrid party. So lots of spell effects have been going out. And that's okay. That's part of the legitimate play of this game. So we're actually going to go to a nearby dungeon as soon as we kill this boar. This is, we're getting into episodes that are going to be dungeon crawls, and I'm honestly not sure how long these episodes are going to be. When I built these dungeons, Ultima IV, I think Ultima III was the first one that introduced it. Dungeons were actually 3D first person, the very first sort of introduction of that type of thing. You could walk forward, backward, turn 90 degrees left and right. So I had to, when I built these dungeons, I took the original maps and did my best to translate them into a 2D map. So here we are in the Dungeon of Despise. It's a seemingly featureless series of dark hallways housing a variety of fierce creatures that have strewn the bones of many explorers throughout. Signed by Unknown Adventurer. We'll just go ahead and break out a torch, and we're already being menaced by wandering flocks of headless. These dungeons in Ultima IV, when we had these dungeons, had both a series of wandering monster encounters as well as fixed room encounters. Certain rooms would have various predetermined encounters. Because this is one big 2D map, there isn't a random encounter cycle. Like so. Which means we will be randomly menaced by creatures here and there as those random encounter timers kick off. But we also have the fixed encounters in specific rooms. This was actually some of the funnest part of putting this game together, was taking the original maps, the original artifacts of these dungeons, turning them into 2D maps, but I guess I'll talk about each of the obstacles as we get to them. As soon as we kill these headless here. This is an area that's going to be a lot of fighting, which is going to mean a lot of fighting, a lot of resting, to try and keep our health good. A lot of spell casting sometimes. Okay. So this right here is an approximation of one of the dungeon rooms in, where are we? The Dungeon of Despise? We are in the Dungeon of Despise, yep. So this was a room after you do some sort of first-person exploring through the maze. You would find a room like this, and it would take you back to the 2D map, but it was just a combat encounter. It took you into a combat encounter, and you'd have to fight your way, usually through the room, hopefully gleaning some treasures along the way. Oh yes, slimes! We haven't fought these yet. Of course, in the original Ultima game, slimes didn't divide, but in this one, You can't not have a dividing slime trope, right? As soon as you strike them the first time and they get below a certain percentage of health, they divide. So even though an individual slime is actually quite robust, or not that robust, the fact that it can divide means it could become dangerous if you don't just kill it outright. So that slime is... Nope, I guess he's not going to divide. Well, maybe he will. And so if they survive the first blow, then they divide into two slimes. Good chunk of experience. Oh, that's right. We do get random encounter chests down here. Okay. We're going to get freaking rich. Oh, that's a mimic? Oh my gosh. That's going to be a problem. Mimics are tough, and they hit hard. Okay, good, he missed. I mean, at the end of the day, we will end up with a chest out of the deal, but I'm not sure if the reward is worth the risk, given how much of a pounding this guy's going to take to beat down. Yikes, 38 damage in a single swing. It's like 10% of most of our champion's health pool. Ugh. Die already. I mean, I guess I could stop wincing around and actually hit him with some magic to really just seal the deal. Maria? There we go. Well, I get another chest. And just... Oh, yeah, if you watch carefully, that's right. If you watch carefully, they occasionally make a little animation. There it is. So keep an eye out for that. This, in the original map, this is a doorway. So I turned the doorway into, you know, that sort of sliding pillar. These guys are the worst, especially with my food supply as low as it is. I don't think I want to give these guys a single turn. Where is it? I'm looking for... I'm looking for Tremor. Do I not have Tremor? There it is. Gremlins are the worst. They'll steal food if they get a chance. Okay. So that's how I did doorways in this map. At least doorways that were going east-west. Here's doorways that are north-south. And that's a staircase going down, but we've hardly explored anything in this dungeon. Our threat levels must still be relatively high because we're getting a lot of encounters. Could also be that because they're dungeons, I tuned the dungeons to have encounters more frequently. If I was to redesign this game and really bring it up to monitor standards, I would make every encounter either a wandering encounter or a room encounter. And a room encounter would be isolated to the room, like they wouldn't be able to leave. Bunch of magical keys. They wouldn't be able to leave the vicinity of the room they're in. But random encounters would be out in the hallways wandering around. So there's a whole bunch more of this dungeon to explore that we haven't found before we go down. Refreshing. Okay, so we have some fountains we can drink from. Do need to be careful which fountains we drink from. Like this one, I think is a poison one. And we will need to use torches. And I have a few skeletons to fight here. And I am more interested in the treasure than I am, or clearing the room than I am actually the experience. So we're going to send all these skeletons packing. So we're definitely in what is probably the later half of these episodes. We have 8 dungeons to completely conquer, and then a few things to pick up on the ocean. And finally, the last assault on the Great Stygian Abyss. And then I'll have to find the time to make Ultima V, which was, like, between Ultima IV and Ultima V, they were my favorite CRPGs for a long time. Then Baldur's Gate 3 came out. There are some other good ones, but none of them really captured me like these two Ultimas. There were some problems with them, like if you had missed a clue or not gotten something right, you might end up going into the final dungeon and not prepared for it, and have to make partway progress, get kicked out, go find the final thing or one of the final things you're looking for, maybe make another attempt, realize you're missing a third thing you needed, and then finally go back into the dungeon to beat the game. I'm watching this chest carefully. Okay, it's not a mimic. Good. Okay, so that is those. I'm gonna find out. Oh, nope, that's a, oh, Jesus. Okay, so those green fountains, nope, remember to self. Fountains that are that ugly shade of green, poison. Don't drink them. All right. Yeah, those ugly green ones are poison. That blue one, I think, is just water. More skeletons. And then the other part of how this encounters in these dungeons work is the further down we go, the deeper into the dungeon we go, the more difficult the random encounters will get. All the room encounters, however, are scripted. But there's a lot of gold to be had. What do we got over here? Anything? Nothing? A couple of dead ends, okay. And this right here is how I did one of the things you could run into in the dungeons is the darkness spell. It would extinguish your lantern. Gremlins. This is an interesting spell. I can just outright kill something, or I can spend 5 more mana to Tremor. But I think I'll just firebolt one of these guys to death. So the gremlin doesn't seem like he's trying to steal and run just yet. Hopefully we can kill him before he gets a chance to. There we go. Shimino is now level 5. I love it. Alright, let's get ourselves back around to where that stairway was. We're going down to the second level. If I remember correctly, these 2D map styles was actually how the NES version did this. Oh, here's a dungeon room. So here's a couple of fixed encounters. Oh no, it's a trap! Now we've got to take care of some business before we can get out of here. Part of the design decision for doing these dungeons was many of the dungeons had like a secret lever or a secret square you could go stand on, sometimes buried inside a wall. And you had to look for where, like, a brick was out of place to be able to find where the secret wall was. And then that would usually activate a trigger. So I tried to do what I could to approximate this. I am not interested in standing here fighting a whole bunch of headless while this gazer is alive. So we are going to... And that's why. Not only does he laser beam me, he puts me to sleep. Maria, would you just clean this battlefield, please? The other thing I could do is sleep. Okay, now we're only dealing with the gazer, one of the more dangerous creatures in these dungeons. And that's why. If he puts all of us to sleep, it could be real trouble. And also the fact that he does 50 damage per shot right now, because we don't have much defense. Okay. I have reason to believe that 50 magical keys is not even going to be enough. So we've conquered that trap. Shimino's already asleep, you jerk. You know, I think I'm just gonna... Where is it? Slumber. We'll use slightly less reagents and stuff and pause everything else that we don't want to fight with the second to fall asleep. Hey, got hit with that sleep beam but didn't fall asleep. That's good. Nothing that a good old firebolt can't solve, right? Not bad. Oops. Attacking the wrong dude. Definitely attacking the wrong dude. We woke him up. Yeah, everyone's doing all right so far. Here we go. Guaranteed hit magic missile. Now sleep does only last for so long, so these guys ought to be waking up here pretty soon. Sim's party was victorious. Plenty of experience. One interesting way, potentially, to play this game is to sort of dip your toes into the dungeon briefly to get a bunch of wealth. Or to get a little bit of wealth. As you can see, we've only gone down 1 or 2 levels of the dungeon, and we already have 2,400 gold pieces. So we traverse our way through that room back into the hallways. I might also consider giving these dungeons sort of a design pass and keep the spirit of what part of the hallway you'd be able to walk through intact. Did no one get poisoned on that? Good. Keep the spirit of where you can walk intact, but decorate the hallways and stuff so they're not quite so bland. Okay, seahorses are non-evil, so I want to see if I can't convince these guys to just run away. These guys do a decent magic attack. So all three of these seahorses still try to attack me. B spits magic. A tries to flee. Very good. Okay, let's get a good hit on Seahorse C and see if they both want to run away. Nope. Looks like B is still attacking. Sorry, Seahorse. Alright, that one is trying to run away. So we'll guard and see if he keeps on trying to leave. I wonder why you only did 10 damage to Maria. Maybe it was just a low roll on your part? Okay. Got a little bit of Black Pearl. And that is it for that room. Down we go. We are now on level 3. So I am actually going to use a magic gem. This will give me the layout of the dungeon to show me where I'm at. Looks like there's a treasure room with a single staircase that goes up. So I'm willing to bet that if I go down here, this will take us around some sort of route. Oh god, this is gonna suck. Tremor. I'm not even kidding around. Do not want to be losing food to these gremlins. There's a whole bunch of them in this room. Several packs of 3. Probably a magic missile is going to be plenty, or a firebolt to finish that gremlin off. For 100 damage. Could have just hit him with a magic missile and been fine. Not that it matters all that much. Maria's mana recovery is really, really good. Okay. We've opened up a passage. Ooh. Here we go. Sim's agility increased. I forgot. These guys are difficult to hit without magic weapons because they're ghosts. You jerk. What are you draining life in me for? Get out of here. Well, they're trying to run, but they're not being all that successful right now. Sweet. That was a random encounter. Yeah, using a little bit of easy to find black pearl and sulfurous ash to wipe out. Man, guarantee he stole some of my food. Very nice cast. The spell Firebolt is intentionally has a fairly wide variance, whereas Magic Missile is intentionally pretty reliable. Okay, one more guy, and then this room is clear. Solid hit. Firebolt, that guy. In the original Ultima IV, spells were all right, I guess, but it's not like you didn't have a huge advantage for using them. So going through all the effort of combining the materials to make spells didn't necessarily make a lot of sense. What's down here? Trying to determine which staircases go where. They do generally line up geographically, so I did my best to make it so that these places could be mappable in 3D space and that would all line up and make sense. Other than the fact that, as is true in the original video game, these dungeons wrap around. And the main reason for that in the original game by Richard Garriott was he was able to have an extreme economy of content from very little data. So each of these dungeons was actually an 8x8 map. That's going to be okay, that is a water fountain. The other one was a healing fountain. Anyway, you had an 8x8 dungeon. Should also be a water fountain. An 8x8 dungeon. And by just having a very simple, so it was 64 bytes, essentially, of information for each dungeon, for each level of a dungeon. And all that data needed to include was whether or not it was a wall, a passage, a door, a chest, or some number of traps, or a room ID, basically. Just an 8-bit room ID that would point you to a combat room on the disc. So for only 64 bytes of data, you had a huge, a fairly decent and complex dungeon laid out, because the game engine knew that if a passage went off the sort of the west side of the map, so to speak, it wrapped around to the east side. And that is also true here. Okay. This is one of the areas where I was able to embellish the dungeon layout a little bit. Got all those chests. The only place to go up or down is here. Get our torch going again. So let's go up and see if this takes us to where I'm expecting us to go. Yes. Hooray. This is the treasure room. There are only 4 treasures to be had. But still. 4 easy treasures with no monsters to fight other than whatever random encounters throw at us. Take it. Again, we are chewing through our magical keys, though. We're down to less than half what we started with. So there's going to be a point at which we're going to start casting spells to unlock things instead of using keys. Easy fights. Getting good levels. I wonder how far away some 6th level sim is. Katrina is now level 5. Party mate I'm not using. I did incorporate various branching dialogues. You only saw a few of them. And a lot of the branches are only available when a particular party member is in the party. For instance, we have not been exposed at all to Janna's quest. I didn't do anything special with loyalty or anything. It's just a little bit of extra dialogue to add some hypothetical or some headcanon flavor to the various party mates' backgrounds. All right, let's head back down, and we'll just continue down. That is... I want to use one of my gems. I am here. Looks like there's something very important here in the middle of the map. We're going to go through a whole bunch of darkness spells, through some poison fields, and another kind of magical barrier. Do some battles. All right, well, we're going. It's locked. We'll use a magic key. Actually, I'm not going to use a magic key for this. I'm going to use a spell. I'll keep the magic keys for chests. The next door or chest touched will safely unlock itself. Just like that. All right, we're through all the darkness spells. Now we want a dispel field cast on us. Yikes. Use a dispel powder on that. Okay. That looks important. Ooh, daemons. So we're getting deep enough in the dungeon where we're going to be fighting some tougher creatures. They do magic damage. You know what that means? Energy field. I'm going to keep our health up with some heal as I find it. Shamina's been getting beat on. Oh, energy field didn't do anything. All right, protection it is. All right, we got to give these guys a beat down. The old-fashioned way, and they're hard to hit because they take reduced damage from non-magic weapons. Oh, energy field does work. It just didn't work that one time. All right. I think they are generally not susceptible to fire damage. I guess the energy field isn't perfect defense. Maria, if you don't mind, Sim is below half health. There we go. Yes, get reflected. Okay. Daemons are pretty tough. Oop. And here's more of them. Oh boy. This is a Balrog, or basically a Balrog. Balron, right. Richard Garriott was doing whatever he could to not accidentally trip over the copyright infringement of the 80s, but after having read The Lord of the Rings, it was very much like, I want to have people be able to play on their computers adventures like that. And thus he came up with the Ultima series. Ultima 1 was a game. Very strange. He threw in every meme he could at the time that he had. Time travel and all sorts of crazy stuff. Or no, it's just, I don't know, I can't remember, Ultima 1's time travel or Ultima 2? Dupree's the only one awake right now? Oh, that's a problem. Balron put us all to sleep. Gosh, just devastating damage here. Oh, Shimino getting throttled. Okay, let's make camp right here. We're gonna make some camp. We're gonna cast a bunch of spells, get everyone healed up for this room. Maria, you're the best one at healing, so it's all you. As Maria spends her magical resources healing up the party for the next series of encounters, we're going to put "to be continued" right here. So tune in next time as we continue to explore the Dungeon of Despise and find the Yellowstone of Compassion. Until then, I'm SimGamer.